What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored. We've got a live episode. We're going to have a blast today. We've got Trevor from Carrot, and we're talking with, we got Greg, we got the Junior Grandmasters and the co-pilot, we got Gene Volpe. Everybody's here. The whole gang is here. So we've got a bunch of stuff to get into because we're talking about energy, managing your energy, not your time. It's the biggest, most life-changing shift in Trevor's life. It's been a huge life-changing shift in my life, and I think we've had some of the same influences, so we're going to get into that, and we'll catch up. But first, the Junior Grandmaster in the co-pilot seat. We were reminiscing a little bit right before we went online about a certain road trip that you and I once took. Would you like to share that story, Gregory?
I would, Matt. Actually, I would. Matt and I got booked to speak at the Michigan Board of Real Estate Agents and or Realtors, if you want to say it correctly. And Matt was handling the back end business like he always does in regards to booking everything. And he calls me up. He's like, "Oh shit, dude, I booked the wrong airport." I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean for us?" He's like, "We have a 3-hour car ride." And so
you have to rent a car, rent a car, and drive 3 hours to the Michigan backwoods to get to our actual destination.
But in the middle of it, we came across a torrential downpour that nearly flooded us off the street. Of course, Matt had to get coffee. I had to get vodka to get through the rainstorm and snacks. We get there, and the airport that we should have landed in was literally next to the hotel, literally next door. And then we had to get back in the car and drive all the way back 3 hours. So always fun times with the
I forgot about that. Now here's the part that I remember from that, which is the way back. We were driving through. We had to drive another 3 hours to get back to the other airport that I incorrectly booked us at. So we had to hit that same drive on the way back. I remember driving through a cornfield that bordered the airport, and we come through that cornfield onto the airport side, and you kind of look around and you're like, "So this is Michigan, huh?" I'm like, "No, dude, this is the rest of the country." You who grow up on Colorado and Northern California have no idea that this is what the rest of the country looks like. It's all just this. It's just cornfields and flat green and no mountains and no palm trees. This is what the rest of the country looks like. I thought that was hilarious. That's the part of that trip that I remember the most. But we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We've got the Evil Bald Ninjas here. We got Trevor here. So first of all, welcome to Gene. What's up today? I know you're having some issues because you're out on vacation, but you're kind enough to join us. Thank you very much.
Well, hopefully I've cleared the issues up. I went to the old school, lanyard type. I think it sounds better. It sounds better on my end. I will apologize for the blenders in the background. We are pina coladaing it up right here on a Friday. So you may hear some noise outside, and it's just that we're getting started early on the East Coast. That's all we're doing.
So jealous.
Wildly jealous, I know. All right, so first of all, Trevor, officially welcome to the show.
Dude, Matt, Gene, Greg, thanks for having me on. I'm pumped. And Gene, I was originally wondering if you're East Coast or West Coast, because when you guys are firing them up, I'm a West Coast. It's 11 o'clock. They're starting early, but you're on the East Coast, so it's not too early.
To be clear, Gene has no boundaries when it comes to pina coladas, so I don't think it would have mattered.
Well, no, listen, I'm not a pina colada guy, but I will tell you that I have had multiple of these. We did start at about 11 o'clock East Coast time. So
I love it, man.
Yep.
It's 8 a.m. my time. Holy shit. I like your style.
Yeah, no wonder we're 5 o'clock somewhere. He means like the Philippines.
Yeah, we call it beer 30. No matter what time of day it is, it's beer 30.
That's right. All right, so Trevor, give for everyone in the audience that might not know who you are. I mean, you're obviously a podcaster in your own right. You've interviewed some of the same people that we have a lot of the same mutual friends and stuff. So I'm sure some of our audience are already familiar. But for those that aren't, just give us the kind of the 60-second overview: who you are, where you are, what you do.
Dude, I'm a father, husband, live in a small town in Oregon and run a company called Carrot, carrot.com. And the whole entrepreneurial journey has kind of led up to making some major transitions in my life over the past 7-8 years that really led to what we're doing today. We work with about 8,000 real estate investors and agents, a lot of what we call hybrids, the agent investor. And we help them generate a lot more motivated sellers using evergreen marketing. So where Zillow owns Zillow owns buyers on Google. Carrot clients own sellers on Google. So that's what we focus on, man.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So you own sellers on Google? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. If you were to Google like sell my house fast, especially motivated sellers. So if you were to Google sell my house fast, insert whatever city in the country, you're probably going to find somewhere between 3 and 8 Carrot clients, Carrot websites at the top of Google in most every city in the country.
I'm going to introduce you to my brother. Real estate to own. That's a really interesting piece of real estate to own, because I think any savvy agent would look at that and go, okay, Zillow and Trulia and the other ones have essentially won the battle, the online battle for the real estate for buyers, right? So it's almost, you either have to buy your leads from there, or you're almost guaranteed to be so far down the first page of Google as to be irrelevant, right? So the next step is, okay, well, Zillow doesn't own, people don't think of Zillow when they think of listing their house. So that makes sense. That okay, theoretically that real estate's open. What was the landscape like when you first started Carrot, and how did you spot that opportunity and think, okay, I can fill this gap with a kind of a software service company as opposed to just, you know, a one-off thing for an agent or an investor?
Yeah, dude, that's an awesome question. So taking it back to 2013, 2014. So we started Carrot in 2014, and kind of my background before that, the previous 5-6 years, was growing online businesses, and I own real estate. I'm an investor myself. I have some apartment buildings, some Airbnbs, things like that. So I had the internet part and the real estate part tied in there. And the problem that I saw was in 2013, I saw in the real estate investor market specifically, because that's where I was tied the most to, like wholesalers, house flippers, people that are going after and marketing directly to the seller, right? Directly to the seller, usually off-market properties. And I said, man, they're all looking for websites, and they're kind of checking the box saying, I got the website online. But the problem was they weren't focusing on how well that website performed. And I said, man, if we can just really focus on building the best performing website system for investors, for sellers and cash buyers and tenants and things like that, I think there might be something there. And it worked out. It started to climb. We started to see rankings popping in different cities all around the country. And then we just said, how do we scale this now? Like, how do we scale ranking really high in Google, attracting evergreen leads in a way that doesn't require the person to be a big techie, but it's sustainable over the long term? It's not using any gimmicks or things that Google's gonna squash. It's stuff that you're adding value to the seller in the exact way that Google wants to. So yeah, we looked at it from the performance angle. Everyone else is looking at, how do I build a pretty looking website? I'm like, how do we just make it perform and put more money in your pocket?
Yeah, I love it. And we can dig into a lot of that. Go ahead, Jay.
I want to say something real quick. Because I'm on vacation, if you guys noticed, I declined the meeting event for today's show, because if you saw that. So I took myself off. I clear my calendar when I go on vacation. And this morning I was going through, and I'm like, I think we're still going to be here. I go to look at the invite thing, and I see who it is on the show with us, and I'm talking about Trevor. And I'm like, oh, shit, I got to be on this, because I have actually worked in the marketing space and with real estate investors for the last 12 years, and I know his brand very well, and it works. And that's the reason why I'm on here today, because I was excited about talking to Trevor.
Man,
sure.
Thanks for gracing us with your presence. I didn't know that you'd canceled. Otherwise, I would have kicked you off.
He did cancel. He did.
That's hilarious. All right, so let's talk about the energy stuff, and then I want to get into the like stepping off the hamster wheel marketing. We've got there's just so many things we can cover, but I do want to get into the energy stuff first. So take me back to maybe when you first encountered the concept of like managing your energy versus your time, and maybe the very first energy audit, so to speak, that you did on yourself.
Dude, so this is going to relate, I think, to any entrepreneur, any person in general, but especially for agents, investors, anyone listening to this that's an entrepreneur. So I graduated college, and then I said, I'm not going to get a job, right? I'm going to give myself a year to figure this entrepreneurship thing out. And if I can't figure it out, I'll go get a job then. And during that year, I figured out the basics of how to get something going. Year two, maybe I started to make a little bit of money. Took me a number of years to do that. But eventually I built a business that earned good income. You know, this is around 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was a mid 20-something-year-old guy, late 20-something-year-old guy, earning a really good, healthy 6-figure income. And that was the goal that I thought I was setting, right? You when you set out to grow a business or start off as an agent or whatever it is, we're usually running away from something. We're usually running away from an income ceiling we don't like, a job we don't like, someone saying we can't do or achieve something. For me, I was running away from the prospect of getting a job. I wanted the freedom. I wanted the flexibility. I wanted to make what I thought was a better impact. The problem happens, guys, that I've discovered, and I've seen this happen with so many other people as well, is that initial purpose of running away from the thing, that's your motivational factor. It oftentimes it goes away when you reach that initial income goal. Right. For me, it was, man, if I can get like $7 or $8 grand a month, that'd be pretty awesome. I don't have to go get a job. It was actually $4 grand a month. And then I upped it 7 or 8 after that. And so when that initial pain point goes away and you reach that first income level, we oftentimes don't shift now into what we're running towards. And that usually is about 2 to 3 years into a business. I call it the 2 to 3 year turn and burn cycle. And as a real estate agent, you might be feeling this too. Everything is really exciting that first year, that first 2 years. You're building systems, you're doing things, you're doing the cold calls, you're doing whatever you need to do to get action going because you're moving away from that thing that you don't like. And then you start to get some traction and you're baked into the daily part of the business, oftentimes the things we don't like. And unless we have that vision, that mission, that purpose pulling us forward, we get into this spot where our energy starts to get drained. And for me, that happened in 2011 or 12. I remember waking up one day, Matt, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. My wife was at work. My daughter at that time, she was about 1.5 years, 2 years old at the time, was at the daycare. And I'm laying there at 10 in the morning when I was supposed to be working in the business that I had created for myself to achieve this dream of freedom and flexibility. And I didn't want to get up to do work that day. I was like, I do not want to work today. And I asked myself why. And it really came down to the majority of what I was doing was sucking the life out of me. It was making money. Like people were telling me, hey, keep doing those things because you're good at them. You get paid well to do them. Man, I was having this internal conflict going, I'm getting paid well to do it, but I hate it. And these things drain my energy. This can't be the entrepreneurial dream. And so that was the big thing for me. 2 to 3 years in, turn and burn cycle, you get distracted now, right? We get distracted. We go, well, I'm going to try to find things that give me energy again. And we try to innovate outside of our business. We go start a podcast or we go start another business or start a coaching program or whatever. And unless we plug someone in to run that business that got us there, that business starts to fall down like this. We get distracted by the 2 or 3 other opportunities, and then you burn, and then you restart that whole cycle again. And that's where so many people are on. So the energy audit for me is what I developed during that time. We can dive into it, but it changed my life because I shifted from activities that made me money and trying to manage my time to say, what if I just manage my energy? If I could be more energy, if I could have most of my work week be things that gave me energy than sucked away energy, what if that would make me happier in my work? And maybe that will actually even lead to greater income. And it did both.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can say the same for me. I mean, I came across that concept. I'm trying to think of how long ago it was. It had to have been at least 7 or 8 years ago. I think it was before I started the agency.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with that concept of managing energy more than time. I didn't make the connection with it to like being an introvert and the fact that introverts like manage energy differently, like the different things affect our energy. I kind of knew it as a general principle. And so, yeah, I started doing things like building energy routines into my day and kind of paying more attention to my energy than my time. And it kind of shifted my thoughts around that. But I'm like, I still look at my calendar with a critical eye every week and look for the things that drain my energy, what types of things drain my energy. And as I've gotten more, I guess, sophisticated or deeper in my understanding of who I am and what my personality is like, that like it goes layers deeper. Like I continue to find new ways to apply that principle of managing energy rather than time. So let's get into maybe the, is there anything, guys, that you want to share, Gene or Greg, just like from your own perspective? Because you guys are different. Like me and Trevor are both introverts. You guys are both extroverts. So you tend to get energy back from the interactions that you have with people. So before we move on to other stuff, Greg, I'm curious, what actually does drain your energy? If it's not people time, it's not being around people that drains your energy, except for me, of course.
Of course.
What sort of things tend to drain your energy?
Dude, spreadsheets, doing data work. That will drain me so fast. Like I could be up like nobody's business. And then I start having to do spreadsheets and data work and, analyzing properties and stuff like that. Kind of like the backbone of this business. Dude, I will literally fall asleep at my computer. Just, damn it. I'm up. I promise I'm up. But I mean, it sucks the life out of me. Like I have to, when I start doing that stuff, I have to get up, go outside, go walk around, go take the dog for a walk, go jog, go do 25 push-ups, something to get my blood going, or maybe get online and do live prospecting calls, do something that I really like doing. And then it gives my energy, my body the energy to get back into the flow of things. Because, dude, spreadsheets, data work, and I'm the guy that wants to be handled. So not in that weird way, Matt. Get your mind out of the gutter. Gene, I see the look on your face right now. Trevor's like, what the shit did I just get myself into?
I was just going to say truer words have never been spoken. Yeah, Chris. So Greg's the guy that wants to be handled. Got it. Keep going.
But so seriously, being
his hand motion while he did it too was very.
I was going to say it's very descriptive, very accurate.
I need to be handled. But I mean, seriously, it's like literally. Shut up, Gene. I see that. I got nipples, fucker. Can you milk me? But the thing is like, if someone just says, Greg, go here, do this. Here's the packet of information for the client. Here's your talking points, yada yada. Doing them out the door, I'm happy as a clam because I'm out being with people, not doing the data work behind the scenes. Like our team manager Eileen, she does all of that work for me and does everything behind the scenes. Dude, I couldn't do the job without her. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Gene, are you?
There's elements of my business like that.
Are you going to rub your fingers together again in a very suggestive manner?
I will. I always invite people, if you're listening to this on audio, you definitely got to come see the video because there's stuff that goes on that you don't see. I want to listen. I love this. I just love this topic. I really do. I think the energy piece of this is amazing. And I think it's funny, Greg, like I totally understand. I love spreadsheets, but I get the type of guy you are when you see that. There's two types, right? When you look at it, you go, oh, I can pull data out of this and figure stuff out. And other people are like, this makes my head hurt. But I think for me, really recently, like even my wife has been like, what are you doing? You're a cowboy. What's going on? And I'm like, ever since 18 months ago when this shit started hitting the fan, I started to really reevaluate what was good in my life and what wasn't. And I do the phone test, right? I think I may have told you this. Like, if I have a client or a family member or somebody who calls me, and when the call comes up and the caller ID comes up and I go, oh God, I can't deal with this right now. That's really heavy on me, right? And that's the kind of stuff that I like to eliminate from my world. When I have somebody, whether it's in the workspace or wherever, when the phone rings, I'm excited to talk to them. That to me is something that is an energy that helps me grow in business and in life. Like Brian Offner's commenting on here. Brian's a guy that has a high energy level, is a positive dude, has great messages and an unbelievable work ethic. And when he calls me, I'm like, I'm picking this up. Like I'm getting this call because I know after the call's over, I'm going to be in a better headspace. And when I'm in a better headspace, my chest is puffed out. I sell better. I talk to people better. I'm a better husband. Like there's a lot of things that happen because of that energy that somebody's dumping in my world. So I do the quick phone test. Like if it's somebody that calls you and you go, oh God, there's a move you need to make, right? But the folks that when they do call, you're like, dude, hold on. I'm in church. I got to walk out of church to talk to this guy or girl. They're the folks that you need more activity with. That's how I feel about it. I love this whole concept.
So Trevor, what were some of the first things that you noticed that maybe the energy drains and maybe some of the first adjustments you started making in your life once you really got a hold of the concept?
Dude, the big thing for me was first of all making this mindset shift. So I'd been hearing from insanely smart people that your unique abilities or your unique genius or whatever it is you make great money from it, and everyone tells you you're awesome at it, right? And it was okay advice, but I learned from me. I'm like, man, that advice for me was really terrible advice, and here's why. So number one, just because you make money at something doesn't mean you should be doing more of it. That's the first thing I want to give you guys the permission to take this thing and say, okay, just because that makes me money doesn't mean it should drain the living life out of you. Number two, the biggest thing there next is we need to take the things that give us a lot of energy, even if we have no clue how we could ever make money doing them, doing a podcast or doing whatever, just doing strategy, but not actually implementing, which is one of the things for me on the energy gives and energy draining side. And then give yourself permission to think outside of the box and say, what if I could do more of that thing that gives me energy, even if it doesn't equal money, just for the fact of giving me energy in my day, and how is that going to impact the rest of stuff? So what I started to do, Matt, was I made a process, and I could even share my screen and kind of go take people through it really quick, or I can give you guys a link. We have a free worksheet on it I made a long time ago. I use it every quarter, just carrot.com/energy, carrot.com/energy. No opt-in required, nothing, guys. Just go get it. I want you guys to use it. And the first thing you do is recognize what is draining your energy on an average week. And is it cool? Could I share my screen real quick?
I think so, yeah.
Go. Do it.
I'm going to share my iPad here, guys. So it's drawing time with Trevor here in a second. Yeah. So what I'm going to walk through, guys, and I'll kind of verbalize it as I'm pulling up the app. I didn't have my QuickTime open. Is I want you guys to be thinking about what are the things on an average week that drain your energy. Okay, it could be, for me as an example, man, I love strategy, but I absolutely despise implementing the strategy. It just sucks the energy out of me, right? Which is crazy because you look at it and go, well, how the heck are you going to actually grow a business then? I've got the screen shared now. So how are you going to grow the business then? And that's what I was struggling with in 2012, 13 is like, man, I love strategy, but I don't like any of the tactical. I don't want to manage the projects. I don't want to have a bunch of meetings. And my list of the energy drains was huge. I mean, this is just a micro version of, imagine there being a bunch more down here.
So Trevor, really quickly, just for everyone who's listening who can't see, can you describe what you have up there really fast?
Dude, for sure. So what you guys can do is go to carrot.com/energy, get the worksheet, or grab a blank piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of the paper. And on the left side of that paper, write drain at the top of it. On the left side of that line. On the right side of that line, write give. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a list of everything in your average week that drains your energy, both work and not work stuff, because it all is tightly connected. And then on the right side, write everything that gives you energy in work and normal life, especially the things you're not doing. Like, that's the key, is not just the things that give you energy that you're currently doing. Like, if you're not working out, you go, man, when I work out, I get so much energy. When I do this, I get so much energy. Write those down, because those are the exact things you need to add back to your life. And once we get the list of things, the kind of the epiphany that popped up for me around that time, Matt, was like, cool, I got a list of stuff now. What do I do with it? And I heard a quote, back in the day, and we've all heard it, of what's not measured can't be moved. And so I sat there and said, well, what percentage of my average week do I spend in energy draining activities, the things in this list, versus energy giving? And during that time, it was literally 80% in energy draining and 20% in energy giving. And a light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm not liking my work right now. Like, no wonder I don't want to get up and do the work, because it's the normal body reaction of you're stepping into something that you don't like, that is like harming you. I don't want to do these things that are sucking the life out of me, right? Yeah. And so if we have that number, now we know what we need to move. And the goal that I found is ideally, if you can get somewhere around the 70% energy give, 60% energy give, for sure over 50%, but around that 70%, man, that's when you're in flow, because we're not going to be in 100% energy give all the time. It's just, I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's probably pretty close. But if we can be 70 or percent more, dude, it changes the game. And you do this every single quarter. And then here's where the magic is. We do the audit. And then every single quarter, I go through the audit and I go, okay, let me take it again. Now let me circle the things that are draining my energy the most. And maybe it's like a specific project. Maybe it's a meeting with somebody that specifically, or maybe it's your commute or whatever it is. And I'm going to add in this thing here. Back in the day, it was writing blog posts. Okay. I'm like, man, I'm really good at it. We make a lot of money from it, because that's where we get our Google rankings. But it sucks the life out of me. I delay it. I procrastinate. So I circle that. And then you write, how many hours per week are you spending on your top 2 energy drains? Let's say that's 6 hours a week, right? I'm writing 2 or 3 big long format blog posts. And let's say this one here, man, I'm like managing projects, and that's another 5. Okay. You add that up, that's 11 hours. And I look at that and go, man, if I could reclaim that 11 hours back into my life and replace it with something over here that gives me energy, like the blog post example. I hated writing the blog post, but I loved the strategy of it. So I said, man, what if I could only do the strategy? I can align with the writer. I could do the part that gives me energy. I literally get in front of a whiteboard with them, and then I leave, right? And then they go do it. What if I could do that and pay them really well to do that? And so that's what we did. And I go down here to the quarterly focus. And before you make your business goals, before you do any of that kind of stuff, I suggest you guys do the energy audit and take these 2 things and say, number 1 is get me out of managing projects, right? Number 2 is get me out of writing blog posts. Okay. And then there's the how to, like, how am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to hire a person, right? Hire a person to be a project manager. And then number 2, I'm going to hire a writer, and you guys can't read my writings. This isn't writing. But I'm going to hire a writer and then create a process on how I write my blog posts. And that's the first thing I do during the quarter. Dude, the crazy thing is now I'm able to add more strategy into my week because I love it. And then at that time, I replace blog posts with do a podcast. I'm like, I have no clue how I'm going to make money doing a podcast, but I don't care because it gives me energy. So like an entire day of my week now is creating content, doing videos, doing podcasts and strategy, and it gives me energy. You do that quarter over quarter, and it moved my numbers from 80% energy drain in 2013 to 80% energy give up to about 2017, 2016. And it will kind of bounce up and down now, right where I am right now, it's probably 65% because we grew a lot, made it into the 8 figures, grew the team. And so now we have some more processes and things I need to buy back. It's all about buying back your time. Okay. Buy back your time, guys. And this is the way.
So can I ask you something while you still have this up? Is that on the left-hand side of drain for you as a sauna? Is that one of them?
Yeah. And that's part of managing projects. So they would assign things to me and I'm like, I don't want to log into a sauna. Literally, guys, I know stuff has to get done in there, but I do not want to log into it. And we figured out a way to make that happen. I never log into it anymore. I don't check it.
Yeah, I'm the same way with Trello. We run the entire agency off of Trello, and everybody knows not to, like, they all communicate, like the entire team will communicate through tagging each other in Trello and, like, comments and stuff like that. They're watching the notifications. I do 0 of that. Like if I'm in Trello, it's strictly of my own accord to plan things, and I manage my own podcasts and stuff in there. But yeah, I don't respond to any notifications. You can't get me on Slack. People know, like I was actually just talking with one of my clients. We were doing some stuff for his podcast this morning, Lars Hedenberg, and he made the comment that he's like, I know. It's like, now I think about, is this Matt an on day or is this an off day for Matt? He's like, so now I email his operations guy to get a message through to Matt.
Yep.
Which was hilarious. But it's made a huge difference in my life too. So I think there's, like you would think, there's probably a lot of, founders or maybe software guys that would say there's no way you can get out of being in your team's project management tool. So there's a lot, and there's a lot of equivalents for real estate. You could say there's no way you can ever get out of going and doing the listing appointment at somebody's house. Like, au contraire. Like, I know people that have been running listing appointments in their office for years. Like, whatever you think is a barrier, that it's just, well, that's just the way it is. Somebody out there has proven that that's not just the way it is because they figured out a way around it.
Dude, and it's being intentional, right? It's once you do that energy audit, it's being really intentional, saying, cool, like it's important to me that if I want to continue enjoying my work, that I not use Asana, or I not manage projects, or I not get tactical, or whatever that is, doing a bunch of meetings or going to listing appointments. And if it's a revenue producing item for your company, you probably can't kill it. It just means you have to create a process. So document how you do it. And that's what I usually do, Matt, is when I'm doing it, let's say it is managing projects or writing blog posts. I would literally go, okay, the next blog post I'm writing or the next listing appointment I'm going on, I'm going to document everything I do. So when I go to the listing appointment, is there a text message I send to the person before I go? Is there something I send to them? Let me create a little Apple Note or a Google Doc and like just save that text message I just sent. Let me just save that thing over here now. And then you go, okay, now I show up there. Is there certain things I wear to the listing appointment? Do I have like a thing of paper? Okay, cool. Like, let me write down what's important and how to show up and present well. And then the next thing is like every little nuance of it. Is there something that you should type up on what you say when you walk in the door? I kind of like to say these kinds of things and train that person. Cool. So then you do that next listing appointment. You just go through and mentally take note of what am I doing that's working and being successful, and then you document it. And then the next thing is you get that person and have them shadow you. And there's almost always a shadowing portion of this. You don't just document and hand it off and think it's going to work. You then have that person, you find the person and go, cool, you're going to come on 5 or 10 listing appointments with me. Look at this process that I'm going through. Actually look at it while I'm doing it so you recognize what I'm doing, and then give me suggestions on how to make it better. You guys make it better together. On the 11th one, you're going to send them now and you're going to shadow them. So now they're doing the work. They're going to do it. You're going to shadow them. You give them coaching and feedback. After they start doing it for 2, 3, 4 times, great. You're like, cool, you're on your own. I'm going to spot check you now. Okay. I'm going to come on every 5th appointment with you, or I'm going to follow up with the seller and see how the experience was. And then you're just tracking metrics from there on out. But you guys can do it for sure.
Yeah. Love it. All right. We've got I want to talk about Hamster Wheel marketing, but is there anything, guys, that you want to kind of throw into this before we stop talking about like energy and kind of move on to some marketing stuff?
No, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, you guys have pretty much nailed it on the head. I mean, we could go down that road forever and a day, but yeah, let's go to Hamster Wheel real quick.
So, hold on. I think this needs to be put into a training thing. You need to figure out how to put this into there's a huge element of people that could use what you just showed. There needs to be a 10-part series on it that you either give away or that you charge $99 for, and let the people that are in your network pull that stuff down, because that's so much more valuable than most people realize. I think there's a money-making opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'll get something together, and then there's the whole, I call it the delegation matrix. Like, how do you actually delegate? It starts with tasks and then projects and then results. And it's a different process every time as you grow. So that's a good idea, dude. I'll put that on the list because that gives me energy to create that stuff. So I'll put it on the list.
Me too.
Roll it out around the start of the year. Awesome.
All right. So let's start with just a simple definition. What's hamster wheel marketing?
Dude, so hamster wheel marketing, the cool thing is this feeds into the energy conversation because around that time, that 2012, 2013, 2014, I realized that the business that I was running just wasn't giving me the energy. And around that time too, I created what I call non-negotiables. I looked at my business and I said, if this is draining my energy so much, can I actually turn this business into what my dream business is, right? And then I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there going, well, what is my dream business? Like, I don't even know what it is. So I wrote down all the things I don't like about my business. And then the best way to find what you do want is oftentimes writing down what you don't want. And then you just do the opposite of what you don't want. And so I came up with what I call my 5 non-negotiables. And that put a frame around any business I ever build in the future. And I really didn't like that my income and leads were inconsistent and unpredictable. I'd have a huge month one month, and then 3 months later, it'd be like this. I'd hustle and get back on the hamster wheel to crank out more marketing. Then I'd have another big month. End of the year, great income, but you're stressed month over month because you can't really take the break, right? I didn't like that I wasn't building a long-term valuable asset, that I wasn't working within my unique abilities. The Energy Audit helped me on the unique ability part. But then I started to look at it and say, man, how do I make a consistent, predictable business that actually builds an asset? It doesn't just churn transactions. And it's funny because I looked at my business and it wasn't a huge business. We did, $500,000 a year or so, split between 2 business partners. And I looked at it and said, where's our income coming from and what marketing activities are producing this? And the majority of our income came from hamster wheel marketing, which is marketing that you do one time. It's got a finite lifespan. And then it dies out and then you got to do it again, right? So cold calling, direct mail, door knocking, driving for dollars, open houses, they all work. They all work amazingly well. And they're the very first thing that you should all do when you're starting out to get momentum. But then I looked at this one line item on my list and I'm like, that right there, I did 3 years ago and I haven't touched it since then. And it's bringing 10% of our revenue. What is that? What if I just did more of that activity? And what that activity was putting out really high quality content that was evergreen content on an evergreen platform, i.e. a really well put together website that ranks really, really well in Google. Another form of evergreen marketing is actually building relationships, right? So the relationships you're building, it takes a while to get those relationships built, but 2-3 years in, man, you're cranking through referrals and cranking through business because it's an evergreen thing that builds momentum, but it takes time. And so I sat there and said, what if I just built my entire business on that thing? And I got rid of the hamster wheel marketing, got rid of my direct mail, cold call, that kind of thing. If I got rid of that as the foundation of my business, and I focused on the evergreen part, creating great content online, putting it in a spot where Google recognizes it, gets it ranked high to the top of Google, where I get in front of my most motivated prospects. The people who are actively on Google, searching for solutions to their problems every single day. And I'm not just trying to interrupt them with a Facebook ad or with a direct mail piece. And so that's what I did. And evergreen essentially is you do something once and it lives for months, or if not years. And we have a lot of agents that literally have put up a piece of content. We can dive into some nuances of some types of content people can do 3 years ago, 2017, 2016, 2018, that are still ranked #1 in Google for phrases in their niche. And they're getting leads every month from a 10-minute activity they did 4 years ago.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I want to go in the few minutes that we have left. Is let's give people some practical examples because you've got some really, really good ones. Because I think people are on board with the ideas. Nobody wants to just do the same things that will disappear tomorrow if they had the choice, right? But most people are probably in that same position where maybe a couple of percentage points, maybe 5% of their business comes from some videos they did a while back or whatever. So how do you make that transition? And what are some of the practical things that they can do that they can shift their energy into doing?
Yeah, dude, the biggest thing, I'm trying to find a spot on the iPad that might be useful. I'll just explain it. But the biggest thing is the way that your website is structured. I don't have it here. The way that your website is structured is #1. We have to shift our mindset from having a website to an authority hub. And let me go find the link to it. I think I've got it right here. One sec. Un momento. If I don't have it, I'll just verbalize it out. Okay. So you've got to shift your mindset from having just a plain website to what I call an authority hub, because so many agents especially have websites that they got from their brokers or they just launched because they think that they need a website, right? Because what we're taught in the real estate agent space especially is let's pick up the phone and make 1,000 dials a month, or whatever it is. Let's go out there and go to open houses. It all works. I'm not telling you guys not to do it, because every bit of it works, and you should do it, especially in that first year. But I don't think our businesses should be built on that, because now it ties us to the hamster wheel. So the shift that we started to make about 7 years ago is we were looking at how Zillow was dominating the buyer side of things. And when you do a Google search and you search a phrase like North Umpqua River homes for sale, as an example, you're never going to find Zillow's homepage that's ranked #1, right? It's always like a page that they created just for that location. That's Zillow.com/Oregon/Douglas County /North Umpqua River homes for sale, or whatever. And so I looked at that 7 years ago and I said, what if we could just reverse engineer that and really focus on sellers, but buyers as well? We have a lot of our clients that are beating Zillow for their own phrases, to the point that Zillow is actually paying for ads now, because our clients are over the top of them for niched phrases. You're never going to beat Zillow for a city. Homes for sale, Roseburg, Oregon. You're never going to beat Zillow for that. But you can beat Zillow for homes for sale North Umpqua River, or North Umpqua River homes for sale. You can crush them there. And so the first thing that we do is we take that mindset with our website, turn it into, the website is the hub of all of our marketing. Every bit of offline marketing we do, direct mail, cold calling, radio, TV, personal, recommendations, whatever it is, every bit of that actually creates online demand. If you send out a direct mail piece or do a cold call, people pick up their phone and Google the phone number that you cold called from. They pick up the phone and Google your name and see reviews, or they'll go to Google and say best real estate agents in, or buying horse property in Kentucky, or whatever. And so we have to make sure that we have our core conversion pages here. The core conversion pages are building our authority. It's, hey, I have a service that can help solve your problem. Here's how the process works. Here's a bunch of reviews. Here's about me and why I care about you, and go browse around properties. That's what most people's websites look like, is just this. Okay. The next thing is what I call niche and location pages. And that's the Zillow part. Okay. That's the, let's look at every neighborhood, niche, location that we do business in, and create a page for every single one of those. But the difference that most agents don't do is most agents create a page, and it's this auto-generated thing from a tool, and they need to create content on it. It needs to have at least 500 to 800 words on it about that niche to really have a chance to beat Google. Zillow, if you go to Google and type North Umpqua River homes for sale, it's a niche here in this area, you're probably going to find one of our clients beating out Zillow, and they have for 2 or 3 years, and they get leads every single month from that. We have thousands of those keywords that our clients are beating Zillow out. But every quarter, create 2 to 4 of those, 2 to 5 of those location pages. But go after sellers, guys. Most agents are only doing buyers. So create pages that say, sell my house fast, Roseburg, Oregon, and sell my house this other city, and sell my house this other city, and sell my house this other city. And that's what our clients are crushing with, generating about 60,000 seller leads a month through evergreen marketing.
So one quick question on that, because just from the forays into search marketing that I've done. So how do you tell if you are getting a little bit too granular, in the sense that you're ahead of the market, and that the people in that area don't know that they can even type that in yet, and that they'll find anything, so they're not quite looking for it at that granular of a level yet? How do you tell in advance? If Google is telling you, oh, there's under 1,000 searches a month, that could mean 0, or it could mean 999, which would be really which would be really fruitful. How do you tell that?
Dude, the biggest thing that I use, Matt, is there are the tools out there, like you're mentioning, to have Google tell you about how many searches are for a keyword. I honestly don't use them. I haven't used those for years, unless we're doing Google pay-per-click ads. The reason for that is there's a certain thought process that a seller or a buyer goes through that's pretty standard across every market. They're going to start off really broad, and they're going to be like, homes for sale, properties for sale, insert city. And then they're going to research, and then they go, man, I really like these 3 parts of the town. Now it's going to be homes for sale in XYZ part of town, XYZ city. And then they're going to dig into that city or that part of town really big. And then there might be 2 or 3 types of houses, or they're going to come up with a big old list of homes. And then it's like, well, what agent am I going to work with? Now it's like best real estate agents in XYZ city, or whatever it is. And so they all go through that flow. And so if I know that the flow that someone goes through, if I'm looking to sell retail, they might be first thinking like, what's my home even worth, right? So home values, that's a hard one to compete with. But what we like to focus on is, we know in every market, people are searching sell my house and sell my house fast, insert city, because we're generating a ton of leads on those phrases. Cash home buyers, so the iBuyer type of things, insert city. Best real estate agents in, listing agents in, things like that. But if you go to Google and you start typing in a phrase at the top of Google that that your ideal prospect might search, if you focus on farmland in Roseburg, go to Google and type farmland Roseburg and see what suggested searches pop up that Google is saying other people are searching these things. And then Matt, I literally take my content ideas from Google Suggest. That's what we do.
Right. So you're using Google as a filter and saying, look, if it's not coming up on Google autocomplete, if there's not enough searches to where Google has an autocomplete for it, then not bothering.
Yep, that's what I do. And then you scroll to the bottom of that page and it gives you all these suggestions. Those are potential pages on your website, potential pieces of content, whatever it is. An example, I've got one up on my screen, and this is a really tactical thing you guys can do. So first of all, get your core conversion pages down, amazing testimonials, great reviews, fast loading website. That's really important today. Google made a big update this summer called the Core Web Vitals Update that actually puts page speed in the calculation in a greater way with how it ranks your stuff. And that's where we really lead the industry in page speed. But this is an example. So after you do those location pages, do 2, 3, 4 of those a quarter, or we do them for our clients here at Carrot in our services, or we teach you how to do it. But then you do what I call video posts. And this is like when you're out there on the job doing the work and you're looking to build authority, rather than just posting your content on Instagram or Facebook, where that's great. But the problem is that's hamster wheel, right? You have to continually be posting this content on Facebook or IG to stay ahead of the thread. And if we're basing our marketing off of our home of our content being on IG or Facebook, you have fully committed to being locked into hamster wheel marketing for the eternity of your business. And you're tied to that now. The second you stop posting on IG and Facebook is the second you stop getting results from it, unless you're paying for it, right? And so we say, how do we take part of that content, the stuff that might be a 3 to 8 minute long video where you're talking about something, and bring it over to your website now and post it on there in a certain way? And I'll show you that Google actually grabs it and it can have a good chance of ranking at the top of Google. This one here that I'm showing, the guy created and launched on our site May 5th, 2017. Guys, that's 4 years later. That's evergreen. He created a few minutes to do this, and he's ranking really well for all kinds of phrases. The website itself, he needs to make an update on it. It's on the Carrot platform, but they use the platform to make some designs. But literally, it's what to consider when purchasing farmland in Douglas County, Oregon. Then up here towards the top of the article, it's a video, and it's a 3-minute and 26-second video or 23-second video. He had his buddies shoot with an iPhone out there on a farmland, talking about farmland in Roseburg. He submitted it through our system, but you guys can do this manually if you want. Our system just makes it easier and quicker. You go to rev.com, rev.com, get that video transcribed, and then you put the content below it. And here's the reason why 3 to 8 minutes, I'll toss back your review, Matt, is important. 3 to 8 minutes is important because Google is based off of the robustness and the high quality of the content on the page. And when you're trying to compete against Zillow or against your other competitors, we oftentimes need to have more content on the page than them that's really good quality. And so a good rule of thumb is minimum 500 words on an article or on a location page, but we'd like to be closer to 800 to 1,000. When you do a study on Zillow and you look at their location pages, they're around the 600 to 800 unique words on that page per page. And so we say we can't come out with a page with 200 words. We probably got to be closer to the 800 to 1,000 words. Now, how do we do that? The average person speaks 120 to 160 words a minute. If you yank those words out of a 5-minute video, that's about 800 word article. If you yank out 8 minutes, that's about 1,000 word article if you're talking throughout the video. And so that's what he did. And if you take this and do this just once a week, once every other week, you start to stack up. I call them stacking bricks. You start to stack up a new piece of high quality content on your website every week, every other week, whatever your cadence is. Under 20 minutes a week is all this. Under 20 minutes. You shoot the 3 to 8 minute video talking about a niche that you're in, or educating people on something, upload it to YouTube, throw it into Carrot or throw it into something. Our system will automatically create the whole article for you, email you 2 hours later, say it's done, it's ready, it'll look just like this. And then you just do one of those a week. And over time, if you stack those up, you start to build momentum. And in 6 months, 8 months, you're going to start to see a good trickle of extra traffic to your site, depending on the competitiveness of your market. And then in a year or so, you're going to go, man, I'm getting like really consistent leads and they're hot because these people are motivated. They're the most motivated. And then year 2 is where it's amazing. Year 2 is where it's like momentum's picking up, evergreen's cranking. And we oftentimes find a lot of our clients at the end of year 2, maybe middle of year 2, they'll hit us up and say, man, I stopped cold calling. I don't have to cold call anymore. I get less leads by volume, but they're higher quality. They close at a much higher rate. they're higher margin, and they're more fun to work with because they're actually seeking me out. They love their business more. Their energy is baked into the business more.
Interesting. Yeah, love it. It's fantastic. I mean, this is something where, I mean, Greg, you've done, a variation of this strategy for quite a while, but I think one piece that you've always missed is that, like, it's not the whole transcription that's gone on your website or on your blog. It's been a summary article, maybe a 300 to 400 word article. So that's something that, I don't know, maybe that change would have made a bigger difference if years ago the entire transcription of the video would have been on the page. But I do like just the overall mentality of, hey, take the stuff that you're doing, that Gary Vee tells you to do for social media, which is going to disappear tomorrow or faster, and start putting it on your website. Make sure it's optimized for search, because it's a lot of times the same content, but if you put it on your website and it's optimized for search, it can pay dividends for you way down the road. Whereas Facebook maybe shows it to 100 people, and then if it doesn't get the right kind of engagement that Facebook is looking for, they're going to squash it so fast your head will spin. I think that's what every agent is struggling with right now. Is it's not easy or cheap to reach people online anymore, and a lot of businesses are feeling this shift where you have to be in the right place for people to stumble over you when you're looking. And I think SEO is becoming a lot more important again, because we went through a little bit of a detour where either you could reach people for super cheap on social media organically, or you could just buy traffic organically on social media for super cheap. Now, neither of those things are true. Yeah. So it's almost coming back around to where marketing was, I don't know, Trevor, maybe 2000 to 2005, like post.com bubble, but before Facebook got big. We're kind of like back to square one again. Like, yeah, you could spend all your time creating stuff for Facebook, but essentially you're creating it for the same 150 people, unless you're really good at engaging, right?
Dude, and the big thing for me is, once again, having that vision. Let's say 2, 3, 4 years out, do you still want to be cranking away daily on your social posts?
Right.
I know for me, when I go on vacation or when I'm doing, whatever business wise, sometimes I'm not in the mood to crank out a bunch of IG stories. I just don't want to. That's the introvert from me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I absolutely love the fact that I can pretty much count on and predict within a 10% variance my lead flow in 3 months and my income. And that's the vision, is what do you want that business to look like? And then work backwards and say, what marketing will help me get there? Now, is this easy? No, it's not easy, but it's a heck of a lot easier, I think, than cranking away on you're going to have to bust your butt for the next couple months, get that authority hub set up. We can help you do that at Carrot, fast loading, high converting, all that. And then dive into the content plan, start to have a cadence of getting those location pages up, a few of them every quarter. It's not a lot, a few hours a quarter. And then focusing on getting some of that evergreen content up weekly on that blog, or bi-weekly to start. So 20 minutes a week. But that's a lot less work than the work that you're going to have to put in over the next 10 to 15, 20 years of hamster wheel marketing. You can never get off of it unless you hire staff to do it for you, which is a great option, or you just are okay and you get energy from the hamster wheel marketing. If you get energy from the hamster wheel marketing, keep doing it. Like, that's exactly what you should do.
I was going to say, I mean, for the most part, that's you. Like, you actually do get energy from creating content for places like Instagram, interacting with people. You like getting the comments, you like responding to comments like that. You're very much, except if there's other life circumstances going on, you're totally that guy that you get energy from the stuff you do on social media. I don't see you ever quitting.
No, never. I mean, I like the engagement. I like to see who comes and goes in regards to the people who are engaging, reaching out to them. How are you? Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. How's life? I say, a bunch of folks that I went to high school with are starting to engage with me on a consistent basis. And I'm like, what in the heck? And it's like 25 years later and they're like, hey, what's up? I'm like, what in the blank just happened to my life? But it's that consistency. And I do love it. I really do like it. It is literally fun for me. That is the anti of spreadsheets for me.
Dude, you should keep doing it. Like, that's the thing. Follow that energy. And the biggest thing for me is then always asking, is that what I want the foundation of my business to be on? Or like the growth of it to be on? Or is that just my outlet to give me energy? Because I do a lot of hamster wheel activities that give me energy. I just love it. But the growth of my business income is built off of evergreen.
Yeah, you see, that's the funny thing is that, like, one of my biggest power energy generators for myself is doing live cold call prospecting on Facebook and YouTube. Like, I come alive on that. And other people just die. They're just like, I couldn't do it. You couldn't pay me to do it. And I'm like, Okay, cool. Do my spreadsheets. I'll do your calls. Not a problem. But yeah, it's really, I mean, I've told Matt that for years. Matt, do my spreadsheets. I'll do your cold calls. He still hasn't taken me up on that, unfortunately. Still has to do his own
because
cold calls.
I don't need you cold calling my potential clients. All right, should we wrap things up? Trevor, what's the best way? We know the carrot.com/energy for the energy audit and the worksheet there, so we know about that. What about just Carrot in general? How do they learn more?
Dude, yeah, for sure. If you guys resonate with the evergreen marketing concept, I do a workshop every month. We have the recording from the last one up too. It's carrot.com/evergreen. You guys can go check out that workshop on evergreen marketing, where I dive in crazy detail on this, like show exact types of content to create, where to put it, how to do it, the whole thing. And then follow me on IG, Trevor.Mauch, that's Mauch. And some days when I don't want to be posting that day, because the energy side of it, you might not see me posting that day, but I document how we're growing our company in the Carrot Cast. Every Thursday I do call it Trevor Truck Talk. It's me on my truck driving 15 minutes to my office talking about what I'm thinking about in business and life and processing it, all the way from 7 years ago when I started it, talking about the journey of moving to 10 million a year, hiring employees. How do you think about legacy? And then we interview amazing people just like the three of you guys here.
Love it. That's awesome. All right. So we got the website, we got the podcast and the workshop. And then same question for Eugene, if you've got not a lot of sound in your background, but how do people reach out to you?
I can't help you with the sound. There's 46 people here. And they've actually been doing stuff in the background, which is kind of funny. But I hope people come back and really dissect what he was talking about here and put it together, because there's a roadmap to. And we took an hour to talk about it, but it really takes you 45 seconds and $4.50 a day to handle it. I mean, he's talking about transcribing with rev.com. We do it all the time. So do the video based off of the search in your area. Have them transcribe the 3-minute video for $1.25 a minute, and then do it, and just do it once a week. And 6 months from now, people are going to be calling you because of your search terms. Brilliant shit. Get out and do it. Come back and rewatch this again and dissect it. You know how to get me. The Gene Volpe on Instagram or Gene J. Volpe on the Facebook. Hit your boy up.
Nice.
All right.
Matt.
And Greg.
Yes, Matt. I know you like saying my name. Would you like to say it again?
Sure, Greg. Well, how do people get in contact with you?
Guys, we are hiring for our EXP team. We got some incredible stuff going on. We are building a trucking side of our team where you can move your clients at a cost basis anywhere in the lower 48. So it's a really interesting thing. So if you guys want to talk about that, please come with us. Don't be in a small pack, guys. Run with the big pack, and let's get some deals done. But yeah, you can get a hold of me at 925, 915, 1978, or you guys can go ahead and just send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram. Very easy to find. Matt, unfortunately, is getting another tattoo. We don't know where his body has any more places for tattoos. But Matt, how can people reach out to you and get a hold of the Micro Johnson? I mean, sorry, Freudian slip. Micro Famous book.
Okay. So it's all at getmicrofamous.com. You can learn more about the podcast production service there, especially if you are like Trevor, if you're a digital introvert, you like people, you like all that stuff, but maybe you don't want to spend all your days on Instagram. You'd rather launch a podcast to fulfill that need for evergreen marketing. Especially if you're in the coaching, consulting, thought leadership, business book author kind of crowd, like that's more of who Microfamous is for. You can go to getmicrofamous.com, grab the digital copy of the book for free there, and learn more about the production service as well. So with that being said, we need to pick a color, which I cannot think of a better color for the bow that we shall tie around this episode than orange for Carrot, right? Let's tie a nice orange bow around this episode and let's call it good.
We can definitely do that. And guys, please go buy Micro Famous. These are Matt's 3 kids. We really need to get them off McDonald's and get them onto some veggies. I mean, these poor babies. I mean, so buy the book, buy it quickly.
I'm very offended, Greg. You just fat shamed my kids. How dare you?
Because they are fat. And it's not a shameful thing. It's just a physical body element, and we'll get over it as soon as you start feeding them carrots. See how I did with that? versus McDonald's. Anyways, this is an orange bow on the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening to everywhere you guys listen and watch podcasts. We cannot do this without you. Please go to everywhere you do watch and listen to us and give us a 5-star, not a 2-star review, so the algorithm will kick it up to more folks. And give a favorable review for Trevor, for Gene, for Matt, myself, if you like the content. But until then, guys, have a beautiful Bus Friday. Peace out, ninjas. We gone.